Okay, welcome everyone. This is the December New Hampshire Google Educator Group Hangout on Air, and I'm Jennifer Loughton. I'm a Google trainer here in New Hampshire, and I am the Digital Learning and Innovations Coordinator, long title, at Pinkerton Academy. And I'm here with my ever awesome co-leader, Craig Shields. So I'll let Craig introduce himself. There he is.
Howdy, from Bedford High School, also co-GEG leader with Jen for the state of New Hampshire. Welcome, everyone.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So on today's agenda, I'm going to share my screen real quick so you can see what the agenda is for today. And I'm going to switch over real quick to the screen, and hopefully this goes well. Okay, can you see the agenda, Craig?
Not yet.
Okay, hold on. Maybe I didn't fully do it. Oh, come on. And how about now?
Yeah, now we're good. Now we're good.
All right, perfect. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about some changes recently some of you have noticed. The one I'm going to start with is I'm going to do Google Forms. So we're actually going to switch, and we're going to do Google Forms first. And after Google Forms, we actually decided to also add in Hangouts and the changes to Hangouts that you might have noticed. And then we're going to do Google Plus is the last one. And then at the end, if there's still time, maybe we'll also show a couple of our demo extensions. We each have one ready to show you. Mm-hmm. So this is the agenda for today, but I'm going to go ahead and start by going into Google Forms. And what's really funny is when I went to go and notice that the new Google Forms were there, I actually was about to do a training. It was wonderful. You know how it is. I had all my training materials ready, and I have a group coming to train, and I went, oh, look, new Google Forms. And I about had a little anxiety attack. So I actually did not train them in the new Google Forms because I hadn't tried it myself yet. Sure. So it's kind of a crash course for me. So I'll show you some of those things. And also, in the New Hampshire Google admin group that happens in Bedford every month. We had a big discussion about it, and actually, I don't know if I can get that site up right now, but anyways, and Terry Bullard in Bedford has the New Hampshire Google admin for education group that they meet once a month in Bedford, and the big discussion we had was over the new Google Forms, and we talked about it. But I did my training in the old forms because I about had an anxiety attack. All my stuff was ready, and we had it was all done in the old version. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the old versus the new. And one of the things I do like is it's very easy that if you have a feature in one that's missing in the other, that you can see this little jogging guide, the very bottom left of your screen. And I love it because if you put your cursor over him, usually the little message says, run back to the old version. So you can actually click, there it is, back to the old Google Forms at any time. So actually you can kind of use features from both new and old. And I've actually done it with this one right here. This is one I did in the old, and it's now in the new version. So let's look a little bit at the new version. So first of all, the new version, you notice that you don't have the menu bar at the top anymore. And I'll show you this in the old version so you can see what I mean. Whoa, let me hit refresh on this. Up in a second here. Sorry about that. So here's the old version, and right here there's the menu bar that you're used to seeing at the top of the screen. And I have to admit that in training, from those of us who do training, I did like that this was very linear when I was explaining to people that this is the edit questions. Mm-hmm. This is where you go to your theme. Mm-hmm. This is where you can see your live form, and this. So that I did like that from the training perspective, working with people new to forms.
Sure.
But when I go to the new forms, it's a little different. So here's your questions, and there are some things that are together. So for instance, here's your question. So this is your edit mode.
Yep.
And here are your responses. Now, I don't have any responses in this form right now. I'm going to fill it out, and then you'll see the responses appear. And here, this is actually the icon to go to your attached spreadsheet. So if I click on that, that's where the spreadsheet is that's attached to it. So the questions and responses are still right next to each other at the top. But the only difference is that you need to come right around here. That's your actual icon for your spreadsheet. And right here, these three dots, if you click that, that is where if you don't have a spreadsheet or you want to have it attached to a different spreadsheet, you can select to go to a different spreadsheet, your response destination. You can unlink the form. You also, and I'll show you this in a second, can download your responses to a CSV and delete all responses. Now I'll show you what that is in just a second, because that is actually a new feature, what that does, which I am excited about. So I'm going to go back to questions though, so we don't lose track. So questions, responses. Where do you actually add the questions? It used to come to the top or down to the bottom. Well, now you come over here on the side on this menu, which is on the side. If you click the plus sign, it'll actually create a new question. So I'm going to actually move this to the top here so you can see it. So there's the new question it just added. And just like before, there's the drop down. And it's the same options through here where you have your text is what they call short answer now. Paragraph is the same. So pretty much all of these are the same options you had before. Now what difference you'll see when you come down here is the 3 dots. If you want to make it required, you slide this over and that will make it required. And if you click the 3 dots, that's where you can do your help text, which they now call hint text. You can go to a section based on an answer or shuffle the option, the answer order, especially if you're making a quiz. This comes in really handy. Mm-hmm. And okay, so that's where you add the question. Now, if you want to add something besides a question, they actually separated those. And I think they did that because before they had insert and they had all of these options together and people kind of confused what was different between a question and a non-question. And here's what I mean. Right here, this is a text box and it says add title and description. If you click that, that's where you can put one of those.
Almost like a page break kind of, or.
It's more like just a text box. It's really just, and I use this a lot when someone wanted to have the next questions all relate to the video below.
Right.
That spell better than I do. And you can do a description underneath it and so forth, but let me see if I can click on it. See how that just made a text box? It's not actually a question. So right. I had that when I had a form and people wanted to just have like a little header somewhere in the middle with some information, but they didn't want it to be a question or make a field on the spreadsheet. So what I mean by that is this is not a question. It won't appear as a column on your spreadsheet because only questions appear as columns on your spreadsheet. So a text area will not appear on your spreadsheet. It's just a place you can put information that won't affect the spreadsheet. And that's really good for those of you who use like AutoCAD and scripts and you don't want to, affect the columns on the other side. This is just a text header and that's all it is. You also can put in an image, and the options for image, they're the same. You can take a picture with your camera, put it in by link, Google Drive, upload to your computer, search online, or from your albums. And video. Now, video's been there, but I just think that before, because this is a video from my very old form, my original old form, but I think before videos were just hidden. I don't think people always saw where they were. Now it's sitting right out in the open. So to add a video in, you just click right here, and you can put in a YouTube search. You can actually search for something. And there we go, perfect for today. Or you can come here, like I had videos that I put up in Google Drive, and then you can actually put the URL directly. So I do that a lot, and people say, well, Jen, I don't like that the only option to put a video is to have it YouTube. Well, no, just put it up in your Google Drive and then grab the share link from the video in your Google Drive and put that in here. And that way you can put any of the videos that you've saved. Because I had a lot of teachers say, well, Jen, my videos aren't on YouTube. I don't want to put them on YouTube. Then don't. Put them in your Drive, get the share link, and put them in here. So you can put any of those videos right into your form. And I love using this for professional development, for assessment, for Blizzard bags. I actually used it also when teaching at the college when I had questions or directions on how to actually use the form itself. Now, the example I have right here was actually when I teach people how to use Google Drive. I don't sit in front of them and lecture them how to use Drive because they'd be asleep in minutes. Instead, I have them get together and they do a scavenger hunt and they find all, and then they sometimes teach me something that I didn't know before. And I have a little video. So the ones that partner up with someone else who also doesn't know how to use Google Drive, is brand new to it or whatever, I have a little helpful video they can go to for hints on something they're having trouble with in the scavenger hunt. So you can put video in and pictures. The last thing that's not a question is where you can add a section. That's like what you're talking about, Craig, the page break.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you can put those page breaks in. My favorite, and I use this a lot because we use Google Forms for teacher evaluations, and we must have the longest teacher evaluation I've ever seen, ever, anywhere, because it's like 4 pages long. And one page alone has 18 questions on it. And depending on what kind of lesson it is, it goes to completely different questions. So an example is, I have a question that says, what kind of lesson are you observing? And if it's new knowledge, I have a page break and it jumps to the page of questions all about new knowledge. And if they say it's developing deeper understanding, there's a page break and it jumps to page 3 that's all about developing deeper understanding. But my favorite example is the one where it's create a story, and depending on which option, where did the frog go? Did he go into the pond or on the road? And if you choose the pond, it takes you to different options to develop a completely different story. So that's that build a story with Google Forms, my favorite one ever. But that's where the add section is, to make those page breaks. Okay, the only thing that, and the fourth button that usually was at the top was preview, so you can actually see what your Google form looks like. It's now this little eyeball right here. I was with someone from, they're like, Jen, I can't figure out how do I see my form. And I'm like, I bet it's this eyeball. And it was. So here's my form, what it looks like. And there's that fake question I made a second ago. Here's the little video that I use. Here's all the same questions as before. You can see everything else. Here's, this is one of those text headers that I showed you where I just brought in text and it was just a header. That's not a question. It won't show up on my spreadsheet. And then of course the submit at the bottom. So this is what my form looks like, okay? So questions, responses, and there's your live form. Well, what about the themes? Because that used to be the second button that used to be at the top. Well, that's the only thing I feel like they're still working on it, because if you come here, when you first click it, it doesn't look like themes. In fact, I had a few people click away because they're like, no, that's just a color palette. But if you click it and go to the very bottom right, that's actually where you can choose your theme. And there's some themes
that I don't think that was included at the very beginning.
No,
it used to be colors. So that's, I think, something new this week.
Right, because at first it was just the color. So I think they're still adding things, because what's missing that I absolutely love using. I did have someone go, oh, Jen, look, things move now. I'm like, oh, okay. So there are like a lot of moving themes. You can upload photos and you can put things in from your albums and so forth. Mm-hmm. But the thing that's missing that I think they're going to get to, I'm sure they are, is that I really loved with the old version, when I went to themes, I always would come here and customize it. So I could click customize and I could change the size of my title. Mm-hmm. I could change the font of my title, especially the help text, which they now call hint text. I changed that because sometimes it was so tiny, you couldn't even see what any of this. So right there, see how tiny that is? So I'm going to make that bigger because no one's going to be able to even read that. So I can make it, let's make it large for a second. So I can make that hint text a little bit bigger because sometimes it's more than a hint I'm giving them, and I really want them to see it. And I could change the color too, so they could actually see what it says. You could change the form background and the page background to be two different. So this one here is one I customize. It's the ones my staff use to sign up for things. And so I could customize. I actually had a Pinkerton logo on another one, and we really like customizing it. So I think that's something that they're still bringing in. It's just not there yet. But when you do go back, click the little guy right there and go back to the old form, which I will for a quick second. The first thing you will get on the bottom of your screen is this message saying, why did you go back? So hopefully it'll come up. Might be that's freezing up here. But normally I get this little message on the bottom right that says, hey, why did you go back? And I have put in there the things that I'm looking for that are missing. Now see how easy it was to flip between the new and the old? I can literally click the little jogging guy and run back to the old. And then I can click the message at the top of the screen that says try the new and get right back into the new. So you almost can use the features of both, to be honest, if you want to. You can flip back and forth and use both until everything's there that you want. But that is one thing that I noticed that is missing. And I do use that a lot, is the customizing of the text and everything in my theme. Some of us do it for branding for our schools as well. So that's just one thing I noticed that is missing, but let's look at some new things that are in here. Okay, so this is a form that I created, and I'm actually going to go to the live version of it. But first, I think I will remove this fake question because I do want to show a new feature that's pretty cool. And I'll remove that fake question too. Okay. Okay, so right down here, I'm just going to put in, yeah, today I am Julia Roberts. And how you get Julia. You didn't know you had Hollywood famous.
No, I didn't. Jeez.
Okay, in your Google Drive, where can you go to find a document you write? So I'm just going to quickly answer through here, and I'm not going to pay too much attention to.
We won't judge. Just go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just going to click anything at this point. Yeah.
We're not going to judge.
Okay, upload a file. Because of course I've made these all, and I shouldn't have. I'm just clicking anything. Sorry.
It's all good. Just write some gibberish. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there we go. Submit answer. Perfect. Oh, and another thing here's one thing that's different already. So here is my page. I really like to use my confirmation page as my next step directions. Instead of just saying, thank you for your response, I really like it to say, great job. Now here's what you do next. So great job. Now you're going to go here. I always put my next steps there. But in the old version, to get to those next steps, it was always at the bottom of the screen down here. And this is where you would put in those next step directions. In the new version, it's actually under the settings gear. So
right.
Settings gear, and then right here, that's your confirmation page. That's also where some of the things that used to be at the top and bottom were. For example, in the old version, if you wanted to only be the people in your domain, you clicked up here. And if you only wanted one response per person, you clicked right here. And so those options were at the top. And at the bottom in the old version, oh, I lost my mouse there. In the bottom in the old version, there we go, you had where you could, allow them to submit another response. You could publish to let them see the results, and you can also let them edit. In the new version, you click this little settings gear at the top, who can respond, anyone or those in your domain, so they'll have to sign in. Then you get if you want to collect their username or not, that will not even show up if you don't choose your domain right here. So if you're looking for that, so that way you have your students' names on a quiz, because sometimes they just don't want to put their name, you'll need to change that to say your domain. If you only want them to submit one response, I was working with a teacher today, and it had so he can only respond once. You'll need to check right there. The confirmation page, just click in here. And at the bottom now is all the other, on this screen is the submit another response, edit your response, see the summary of responses, show the progress report, and shuffle the question order. It's actually the very last option now. Okay, so that's where it's really changed. And I'm going to actually get rid of that because I actually use this with everybody. So next time I do training, I'll be like, why isn't this working? Okay, I'm going to hit save. So those options that used to be sitting at the very, very top and very, very bottom in the edit view are now up here in the settings icon. Okay, and that actually took me a little bit of digging. I was like, where? I looked everywhere, and I went, I wonder, and sure enough, there it was. The other thing I'll show you is the 3 dots at the top right. And then there's one thing that's very different. The 3 dots at the top right, that's where you can copy your form now. That's where you go to add your collaborators. Because remember, send is the same thing, to send it out to people in an email to fill it out. But if you want to share it with someone else to work on with you, it's the 3 dots at the top right. And that's where you can also, print and so forth. But here's one thing I found that's different. I'm going to click on responses now. Because I filled that out, do you recognize what this is? This is that summary of responses report. that in the old version used to be under the responses menu that automatically created in any Google form. My teachers loved it because they didn't have to make the charts. The charts were already pre-made for them, and they loved using this. But what they couldn't stand was that you couldn't clear out the data and start over again. The data was always in there. And even if you deleted everything in your spreadsheet, the data never cleared out. So even if you deleted your spreadsheet and started a new class, the students from your old class were still there. So I'm going to show you the difference. So here you can see there's Julia Roberts. Now I'm going to come here and I'm going to actually clear out. And by going to this option called delete all responses, I'm going to click that. I'm going to click OK. And notice the summary response report is now cleared, but my spreadsheet still has the info, so I'm still in control of anything here. I can delete it if I want or not, because maybe I want to keep it from my records, but I want this summary response report to be available and I want it cleared out for the next class. So here.
And correct me if I'm wrong, if you did share it with another class and the 30 students filled it out, you would only see 30 entries in that.
Right, and that's what's really cool, that before it drove them nuts, is that they would see the 25 from the last class,
right,
plus them. And I actually had that myself because I do use this in training. I'm just, again, choosing anything. Here we go. Yeah, whatever. I know, I'm not even looking. And they would be like, so who is Sam, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't even know, because I actually do use this in my training. And it would have everyone from before in it. And I was just trying to show them what the summary responses report looked like. And they would show answers from people that weren't on the spreadsheet. So now I filled it out again. And you can see on the summary response, it only shows Brad Pitt. So pretend this is a new class that just filled this out. It only shows the new going forward. However, on my spreadsheet, I still have control over what I want to keep on here. I have my old one because from my records, I wanted to have it. Could I delete it? Yeah, because in the spreadsheet, I'm in control, and that's what I like. But I've now cleared the data out of here to be ready for the next group. So I do like that option because I had a lot of complaints about this is never going to be accurate. I had some that are like, no, I like that it shows everybody because then I can see anyone who ever filled out my form. Well, if you want that, then what you can do before you clear it is you can come back here and you can go to download. You can actually download your responses and like save it in a CSV file. So that way, before you clear it, you have a record, or keep it in your spreadsheet and move it to a new tab. So if you want to keep a record of anyone who ever filled it out, at least you have options, but you also now can actually clear out and have this be a fresh report each time. So that is something that I like.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That is very helpful.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything. Can you think, is there anything else? I mean, the name is up here. That's the same. I think that's pretty much everything. I couldn't find anything else.
I just like the fact that you don't have to go to a spreadsheet to then say show summary of responses.
Right.
I appreciate the fact that they've actually included it in the form itself. So I've enjoyed that.
Yeah, I do, because I actually, I do use this, and I've actually used this where on a website I had both the form and this report on the website. So as it's like a getting to know you, when you go back to school with the students, you can have them filling out the form, and as they fill it out on the website, if you have this report in there, they can watch it change. And it's just really, really cool. And I would just refresh the website if I needed to, but they could actually watch. Imagine like how many of you have brothers and sisters? How many of you have been to outside the country? So you can actually watch those questions and watch them change. So I like using this myself. So I do like that. I don't have to go to the spreadsheet, go to find the,
And I've actually done trainings with, getting to know your Chromebook with staff and students. But to be honest, I actually did it in a Google Doc. And so I like the idea of, I don't know why I didn't think about Google Form. So I even like that as an example of how you can use the form. So
So that's pretty much the crux of the new forms. And I do believe, and especially because the little guy is right there, that they want you to be able to come here and try the new options and be able to talk about what you like, but you can go back to the old ones because some features I really believe they just haven't put them in yet. I do believe that as you keep coming here, all of a sudden those features, and when you do, if you do go back, run back to the old version, and you get that little message at the bottom right, I do suggest filling out and giving them that feedback. I do. And I know sometimes that feedback I put in, all of a sudden, hey, that feature's there because, you know, enough people said, by the way, it's really helpful to have, and we really use the following feature. So, of course, it still won't come up for me, but I promise it comes up in the bottom right.
We trust you. We trust you.
Yes. Okay, so let me go back to the agenda. So that was the Google Forms. I'm just going to show Hangouts, and then I'm going to switch over to Craig, and I have Hangouts right here waiting. So Hangouts. Hangouts looks a little different now. This is what Hangouts looks like now. Before you would go there and it would open up. It's just a little different. In fact, I had some people go here and be like, well, where do you actually, they thought it was like a website. And I'm like, well, it is a website, but these are actual active buttons, and you can click to start a video call, phone call, message, etc. Your chats come up right over here, which you can click over here to start a chat if you don't have one. You can also click more, and that's where all of the options pop out. In fact, to make my Hangout on air today, I came over here and started the Hangouts on here. You don't have to go to Google Plus anymore to do that. You can actually come right to the Hangouts page, and you can start your Hangouts right from here. So I actually came here to start my Hangout today. I actually like it's a nice little, I like the website feel to it and everything. And so I really like, actually for me, the features on this, I do really like it. This is just really fits well. I like that it's just more cohesive how everything else is now, that you come over here to your stackable bars and there's your menu, just like most of the other tools are. And then has the menu for me on this was very intuitive. But I had some people who came here and went, what, this is a website. I'm like, I know, but these are actual clickable buttons, and you can just start your Hangout right from here.
It's cleaner. It's cleaner.
Yeah, I do. I like this one. So anyway, so this is the new Google Hangout, which we're actually in right now. But I am going to.
And did you say, I can't remember if you said it, to get there, you just type in hangouts.google.com.
Right. So you don't have to go to Google Plus. You can just go. And I remind a lot of the staff all the time, pretty much all the Google apps, almost all of them are the same. It's the name of the app, .google.com. So gmail.google.com, calendar.google, and now it's hangouts.google.com. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to pass this over.
All right, and I'll be quick. So the other thing that we wanted to showcase is the actual Google Plus and how that has changed. Kind of the same thing. Can you see Google Plus on your screen? Okay. So this is the old view, right? I can see the stream of content. You hover over the little home button, and these were our choices. This is where you used to have to go to do a Hangout on air. So everything was under this home button. You can, up at the top here, Google wants you to try the new view. So I'm going to go ahead and launch it. Just like with Google Forms, you can go back and forth. And there are some instances that I have found you do need, kind of like with Forms, go back in order to do certain things. So a coworker of mine, I liked her terminology. They're trying to replicate this and have it kind of look like Google Classroom. For those of you who use Google Classroom, kind of has that same feel. Now you can obviously post on Google Plus right up here, but they now have a little pencil icon at the bottom. It's like boxy type feeling where I can come in, I can add some text, I can add a picture, link, all of that. But the default up here, we have noticed, will always pull up where you posted last. So I happen to post something in the GEG New Hampshire community. And so if I need to change that, I can, nope, that's not it. I can, where do I go? Hold on, hang tight. That's what I need to do. You go ahead and select that little icon. I'll go back. I went ahead and selected that little circle there, and this is where I can choose to change. Do I want it public, or do I want to put it in another another location? I can also say see more, and I can see all of the options that I have available to me. Probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, and then you go ahead and post it. So that's just one little piece. Now you just come down here anywhere you are.
Can you click that
You'll notice.
How did you do that, Craig? Because I lost the screen for a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I'm going to come back. You hit that little pencil. Do you see that pop up?
Yep, I see it now. Yep.
Okay. So because I posted to GEG New Hampshire last, if I click on that little guy right there, these are the things that I posted to very recently. And so I posted something in Hangouts, a subcategory of GEG New Hampshire, subcategory of docs and drawing. But I just come down to see more, and that's where
perfect.
That's where you get your whole list of where you want it or who you want to share it with.
Okay? Thank you. That's exactly what I couldn't find.
Yep. So there's that piece. You'll also notice that you no longer have that little home thing up at the top.
I know.
And they got rid of things. So you no longer see Hangouts. Hangouts has been pulled away from Google+, which is why Jen just showed you hangouts.google.com. If I go to communities, communities looks completely different. And so maybe I'll go to our, so it used to be a long list. Now they have recommended, member, and yours. So we'll go ahead and go into the GEG New Hampshire. And so I can come in, I can add a post right from here. But in order to actually like add content or add subcategories, you have to come down to, I want to say this little guy right here, and that's where you get your edit community. That's where you can manage your members and change your settings. So that's one thing that's kind of little clunky. I actually liked the look of the old Google Plus in terms of communities. And let's see if I come back. Maybe I can just quickly show you. So I'm going to go back to Classic, Google+. Just want to show you the big difference with communities. One thing that I've noticed is when someone has requested to join a community, you actually have to come to Google+ old version in order to accept them. So that's been a little...
They're still adding.
Yeah, that's been a little annoying. And this is where I can come in, so you can kind of see that same little menu. Right. Over here, this is information about the actual community, and in the new one, I'll show you where that is located. You actually have to click this little eye guy right there, and that information will pop up. So I kind of don't like that it's not right there in your face, and that's just having to get used to the new view. The other thing I think that is important to talk about is now with Google+, when you do a search, you're searching everything. So I'm exploring, I could say Chromebook, and you know, here are collections relating to Chromebook. Here are communities relating to Chromebook. Here are people and pages. So you'll notice as you do things in Google+, the color at the top changes. So if I'm in collections, the color is blue, okay? And then if I change the communities, it's a different color. But the moment you start doing a search, no matter where you are, it'll turn to gray, and that's where you are, as they are saying, exploring. So you're no longer searching in separate pieces, like in the old Google+, you used to only search in communities or only search with people. Now it's a search for the whole pool of things based on what you type in. So that's what I've also noticed. Anything else that you have noticed, Jen? Oh yeah, this little guy up here, the hamburger icon will hide your, why you really need that when it forces the two.
Well, I like that's becoming more cohesive, that they're doing that across all the different, because well, here we hit 3 dots and here there's a, but here there isn't a, so I think they're becoming more, especially as we go more to mobile devices, the responsive design, because then it'll, you know, be responsive to the smaller screens.
Yep.
So I'm sure that's part of it.
And I noticed the last thing I want to mention is that you don't see circles really anymore. You see the word people. So when I click on people, it's just people.
Oh,
So,
I like how you said that. It's just people.
it's just people. But they still have the little circle icon right here. And this is where you go to add your circles. This is where you can come to, change your settings. But I liked in the old view where you saw all the people at the top of your screen and you could actually literally click and drag people into circles. I kind of missed that little feature. But yeah, so that's real quick. Those are some things that have been changed or changes to the Google Plus. I will say I appreciate that they're actually putting time into this because I think Google Plus is a great educator platform.
I know I was worried because, you've seen more of their, how's Google Plus doing? Are they getting, because I use it a lot. I use it, for the students too. I use it. I mean, it's just,
yeah.
I see so much value in the education world for it. And so I was just really, please don't,
Sure. Yep.
But,
so there you have it.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead? Do you want to show your extension? We each have
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do this real quick. So I think Jen and I are each going to show real quickly an extension. So mine today is Pull Everywhere. I know Pull Everywhere has been around for a while. Can you still see my screen, by the way?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so Pull Everywhere, you just go to the Chrome store. I probably should have put that in. You're going to search for the Chrome extension, Pull Everywhere. The moment you do that, you will not see the extension up here. Where most Chrome extensions are located, next to the Omni box. Instead, what it does is that extension gets tied to a Google Slide presentation. And so now, every time I open up a Google Slide document, this, menu now shows up. Pull Everywhere. So if I'm, we can pretend that, this is a presentation I'm putting together. I'm going to add a new slide here. I'm going to put some content and I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
So I come to Pull Everywhere. You can insert a poll that you've already created, or you can create one right on the spot. You'll notice that I've already logged in. If you don't see log out, it'll ask you to sign in. And so you go ahead, you obviously have to have a Pull Everywhere account. Educators can get a free account, and under the education license, you can have up to 50 users at one time adding to or providing information to your poll. So I said create a poll. I could say exactly what they had. What is your favorite color? And then it's multiple choice, open-ended. I'm going to say multiple choice, and I'll just say red and blue. Oops. If I could spell correctly, you can add answers. I'm going to say insert poll. It's that easy, done in 2 seconds, and there is the poll. Now, what happens is, in order for your poll to actually work, you actually need to go into present mode. I'm not going to do that right now. Once you go into present mode, this little gibberish doesn't look like things are working mode will turn into the actual poll questions show up right on the slide. And I just like the fact that a teacher doesn't have to go in and out of something. And if they already have a Google Slide presentation made, they can just quickly put in polls whenever they want. And you can add multiple polls in one Google Slide presentation. So there is my Chrome extension.
Yay, I was hoping you would show that.
All right. So let me unshare.
Okay.
Maybe I'm having issues. Where do I go, Jen? Why am I? Oh, there we go at the bottom. Never mind. I'm good. A little brain fart there. All right, we're good. We're good.
Okay, let me see if I can share now. Here we go. And here we go.
Which one are you doing? I forget.
Oh, good. Now I'm forgetting too. Great. Oh, yeah. Now I remember. I'm going to do save to drive. Because I actually have a lot where people ask about curing, and there's lots of great curing things like, Evernote and Scoop.it and all those things. But some say, no, I just want my students to do it so we can save things to drive. So when they're doing research and so forth, or they find something or I find something for my lesson, we can put it right into Drive. So I'm going to show you the save to drive right here. Now, before I start, you know I always use my extensity. So I
Oh,
always have to go
yes.
in here and make sure I have things turned on. And the first thing I do, especially at a time like this, is I usually will turn it off and on again. So I'm just going to come down here, make sure it didn't freeze. Turn it off, turn it back on. Okay, good. Now, if you right click on Save to Drive, same thing, go to your Chrome store extensions, and that's where it is. I actually come here first to the options page. So here's the option page. Now I'm going to show each one. The first one is if you want to be able to take all the content and put it into a Google Doc and pull the text out, pull the pictures out, so it's not just an image, but you actually want to pull the content out. When you do that from a website, remember, it won't be pretty. So let me show you what that looks like. So we have here where you're doing research on what is a blue moon from Wikipedia, and I'm going to choose to Save to Drive. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. And yes, you can, on the options, decide the exact folder to go to. And it's thinking. I love how it spins while it's thinking. That's great. Oh, actually, I'm going to close this. I'm going to hit trash. Oh, another feature I like about this is if you make a mistake like I just did, you can go to the trash and trash it right away. So let me trash that and hit close because for some reason I did not have it on the one I want. I want it on Google, and yep, and that's perfect. But for some reason, there we go. I'm going to close. I'm going to right click, options. It is on Google Document. Okay, that was kind of weird. Okay, so let me try it again.
Fingers crossed.
I know. Oh, it's doing a picture again for some reason. It might be because I just have so much stuff running that it's just kind of.
No worries.
But I'll show the different options. So picture. The different they have different options to use with the picture, and let me show you why. One of the options that they have is the full page to a picture, and the other option is just the visible page, and here's why. You can actually click whenever it makes any of these formats, a Google Doc, a picture, whatever. It'll actually let you click right here so you can go and find it, because maybe you don't realize the folder it's going to, and that's really helpful. It'll go right to your Google Drive and find it. Here's why you might want the visible part of the page and maybe chunk the website into different, because look at this. It's this, it actually turns to this tiny, tiny, skinny, long graphic. That
like an infographic.
Yeah, it's not
an awful infographic.
Yeah, it's just the worst. Okay, so I actually suggest if you're going to do that to use the visible part of the page and maybe chunk it, and maybe it might be they don't even want the whole page. So I suggest doing that option because I just find that one a lot more easy to work with. It when you spread the other one, it's totally blurry and it's just not fun to work with. The Google Doc, and I'm not sure why it's not grabbing it right now, but the Google Doc one will actually pull it all into a Google document, so you can have the text is workable, the pictures are workable, but it pulls the web page apart, so it won't look like the web page anymore. So the students have to, or yourself, you have to go through and pull out a whole lot of. It'll pull in some of the ads and everything, so you're gonna have to do some deleting, but you'll have a Google document of all the text and pictures sitting in your Google Drive. Well, where? Right here is where you can decide the folder that it will go into. HTML source, most don't use. I use this when I'm working on web pages. That actually will give you the source code behind the web page that you're saving. Nice. So if I go and use that one, and it might not, it might give me a hard time because, like I said, everything's freezing. We'll see if it'll work or not. Oh, look, Wikipedia's asking for money. No, I don't feel like it. Okay, so I'm going to come to the top here and see if this will let me close that and whatever. And I'm going to click on this. There we go. Thank you. Save to Drive. Let's see if it'll do. Here we go. This is going to be the actual web page source code. So this I don't use quite as much. Most of the teachers don't. I use this when I'm working on web pages and so forth. Okay, I'm going to close that one. But I do use, this one will make an action, especially on the Chromebook. This one will actually take an offline version of the whole website. So if you're on a Chromebook and use this one comes in helpful because you can click it and open it. It'll have a full version of the website. So it actually saves an offline version of the entire website. Nice. So usually I use the visible page, the web archive, or the Google document, because that will pull it into a Google document. And I bet right now if I do this, or it's asked me to donate money, it'll work now. Let's see. Oh, that looks better. That's what we want. Okay, see now how it's a Google Doc symbol right there, and if I click it, It's going to tell us at the top, please donate money to Wikipedia. But now you can see it's an actual Google document. So, hey, here's right now where we can donate to Wikipedia. And I don't really want to, so I'm going to go ahead and delete. So you can delete out of here anything you don't want. It's an actual workable Google document that has all, and the links do work. They are clickable links, just so you know. That you can actually click on and move to that page and so forth, but it will pull the website apart. So now you have workable text and so forth, and you actually have a version of that website, all the information you need from it saved to your Google Drive. So that right there is saved to Drive. Options being an image of the entire page, which is not fun. A visible page, source code, an offline web archive of just the website, not online, and a Google document, all saved to whatever folder that you would like. And you can decide, I have it set to convert to a Google editor format, not to like Word or something like that. And that is the extension for today, saved to Google Drive.
Nice.
Okay, I'm going to come back here and stop sharing. Please stop. Did it stop? Okay, good.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay, so, and I can see we have some viewers on today, but I don't see any questions on right now. So I think we're pretty good. We probably should mention, let's see, we have the summer, we have the the New Hampshire Google Apps event in July. And I probably shouldn't have stopped sharing my screen so I could show that. Oh, here we go again. So I'll bring that up. I knew I shouldn't have stopped. There we go.
All good.
Sorry, derry.appsevents.com. And hopefully it'll come. There it is. So we have the Apps Event Google Summit again this year is going to be at Pinkerton Academy. This is the October one. Oh, I'm sorry. It's New Hampshire. The New Hampshire one. New Hampshire. And I can't spell. There we go. The New Hampshire one. So it's in July. It's the middle of the week again. We're also going to have a pre-summit again. But this year they talked about, Allison was looking at having the summit also be a beginners boot camp this year. So instead of the boot camp being for all the advanced people, they thought about this year having the pre-summit, the boot camp day being a beginner session, all about learning about, for those who, when they go to some of these events, are a bit overwhelmed, that they can have a day of just learning about working with Google Apps from the beginner perspective. So that's just one little difference this year. So we have that in July, and as well as we have the Tilton event in August, and those dates still haven't come out yet. So another one I'm missing. And the next one is the next Google admin meeting in January. Do you know? It's on the website, right?
It would be, yeah. It's usually the Wednesday before our meeting. So I think it's the second Wednesday of the month is when it's.
If you're interested in joining the Google admin group, you can just email us on the New Hampshire GEG community, and one of us will give you the link to the site so you can request to be part of it. They meet in Bedford once a month. It's great. I brought one of my techs with me, and we both learned a ton. We learned some really cool things. So it's a great group to get together to discuss, meet, share. Sometimes Craig's in there teaching us a lesson too. So anyways, if you're interested in that, just go ahead and on the community, ask us, hey, I would like to join the Google admin group and meet with you all once a month, or join in whenever you can. You don't have to come every month, and we'll send that information out to you.
And the other thing I'd mention is our next online Hangout on air is January 20th. I just looked at our calendar. So TBD on what we're going to discuss, but we'll let you know in the future.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and have a good night. Good night, Craig. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good night. Happy holidays, everyone.
Oh, yep, happy holidays.